Hi, and welcome to the podcast for Solomon Staircase Masonic Lodge number 357, where we talk about all things related with Freemasonry, including Hermetic teachings, philosophy, reason, spirituality, and much more. We're located in Buena Park, Southern California. Tune in as we continue to update our podcast with informative talks and articles for Masons worldwide and those who would like to inquire within.
The 25th degree, Council of Kdos. 25th degree, Knight of the Brazen Serpent. So the description here comes from the book A Bridge to Light by illustrious Rex R. Hutchins, 33rd degree. The apron is white, lined and edged with black, the white side spotted with golden stars, and the black side with silver ones. Those on the white side represent, by their positions and distances, the Pleiades, the Hyades, the Orion, and Capella. Those on the black side represent the stars of Perseus, Scorpio, and Ursa Major. In the middle of the white side is a triangle in a glory, in the center of which is the name of deity in Phoenician characters. On the flap is a serpent in a circle with his tail in his mouth, and in the circle so formed a scarab or beetle. Over this is a star of gold with the letter R for Regulus over it. On the right side of the apron another with the letter A over it, and at the bottom of the apron another with the letter F over it. The last three letters have the same meaning as in the order explained below. The order is a crimson ribbon on which are embroidered the words, one under the other, Osiris, Ahura, Osarsif, Moses. Under them a bull with a disc surmounted by a crescent between his horns. This is worn from left to right, and across it, from right to left, is worn a broad, white, watered ribbon on which are the words Isis and Ceres over a dog's head and a crescent. On the right breast, on the left breast, and at the crossing of these orders is a star of gold. Under that, on the right breast, is the letter A for Antares, and under that, at the crossing of the orders, the letter F for Formalhaut. On the crimson cordon is the word Geberah, which means valor, in Hebrew, and on the white, the Hebrew word aun, or force or strength. Together they mean the generative power and the productive power of nature. The jewel is a tau cross of gold surmounted by a circle, the crux ansata of Egypt, round which a serpent is entwined. On the upright part of the cross is engraved the Hebrew word meaning he has suffered or been wounded, and on the arms the Hebrew word given in the Bible for the brazen serpent, Nakustan. The duties of this degree are to fulfill your destiny and recreate yourself by reformation, repentance, and enlarging your knowledge. The lessons: man is composed of the flesh, the soul, and the intellect. Man is a reflection of the divine, and do not weary God with petitions. For reflection, is it possible to find your way to heaven alone? And lastly, the important symbols: the sun, the moon, the brazen serpent, and the Pythagorean right triangle. The 26th degree, Prince of Mercy or Scottish Trinitarian, Council of Kdos. And as the former, this comes from the book A Bridge to Light by illustrious Rex R. Hutchins, 33rd degree. The apron is scarlet with a wide border of white. In the center is an equilateral triangle formed of green bars. In the center of this is the jewel embroidered in gold. The flap is sky blue. The colors green, red, and white symbolize the Masonic Trinity. Green is an emblem of the infinite wisdom, red of the supreme energy, force, or power, and white, produced by the mingling of all colors, of the divine harmony. The cordon is a broad tricolored ribbon, green, white, and red, worn from right to left. The jewel is an equilateral triangle of gold bars with a flaming heart of gold in the center. On the heart are the letters I, H, S, and on the respective sides of the triangle, W on the right, F on the left, and H at the bottom. This jewel is suspended from a small collar of a narrow, watered purple ribbon and hangs on the breast. The last three letters stand for wisdom, force, and harmony. The first three are traditional Christian initials for Jesus Hominum Salvator. The letters J and I are interchangeable in Latin, but which may also be read as Sapientia Imperium Harmonia. Thus their Masonic meaning is the same meaning as the three upon the bars. The duties of this degree: practice mercy or forgiveness, be tolerant, be devoted to the teaching and diffusion of the true principles of Masonry. The lessons: The Trinity of Deity belongs to no single religion. The truths of Masonry are contained within the religions of the world. For reflection, what is truth? And lastly, the important symbols, the numbers 3 and 9, triple interlaced triangle, or a 9-pointed star, arrow, tessera or mark, the colors red, green, and white. The 27th degree Regalia, Knight of the Sun or Prince Adept, Council of Kdos. This, again, is from A Bridge to Light by illustrious Rex R. Hutchins, 33rd degree. The apron is of pure white lambskin and has no edging or pattern except the interlaced pentagram which is traced in the middle in vermilion. There are 3 jewels. The presiding officer wears a jewel that is a representation of the sun in gold, suspended by a chain of gold and worn around the neck. The reverse is a hemisphere of gold showing the northern half of the ecliptic and a zodiac, with the signs from Taurus to Libra inclusive. The other officers wear a jewel composed of a simple 7-pointed star of gold. The remaining members of the council wear a jewel that is a gold 5-pointed star. Only the jewel of the degree is shown in the illustration, and there is an illustration on the website here. The order is a broad white watered ribbon worn as a collar. On the right side is painted an eye of gold, a symbol of the sun or of the deity. The duties: be a lover of wisdom. Be faithful to the promises you made within the Masonry. Lessons: nature reveals a power and wisdom and continually points to God. The visible is a manifestation of the invisible. In the universe, 2 opposite forces provide balance. There is no death, only change. Philosophy is a kind of journey, ever learning, but never arriving at the ideal of truth. The moral code of Masonry is more extensive than that of philosophy. For reflection, the question: is the universe friendly to me? Important symbols: Ancient of Days, the Seal of Solomon, the macrocosm, the pentagram, the microcosm, triangles of red, green, and white, and the number 7. The following article is from the January 2003 Scottish Rite Journal of Freemasonry, Southern Jurisdiction, USA. 28th degree, Knight of the Sun or Prince Adept, by Jim Tresner, 33rd degree, Grand Cross. For many brethren, this degree is the most difficult, the hardest to wrap your mind around, of the entire degree system of the Scottish Rite. Yet, the Regalia seems simple enough. There is a pure white lambskin apron with no edging or ornamentation, with the exception of an interlaced pentagram traced in vermilion in the center of the apron. The collar of the degree is of white watered silk, without ornamentation except for an eye painted in gold on the right side. The jewel of the presiding officer is a gold sun hung from a gold chain worn around the neck. When the jewel is turned over, it shows the heavens with the signs of the zodiac from Taurus to Libra. The other officers wear a 7-pointed star of gold. The remaining brethren wear a 5-pointed star of gold. This pentagram, of course, is the symbol for mankind. Both white and gold represent purity. The white represents that which has never been impure and which is therefore not only pure but innocent. Gold represents that which has been pure by refining. The gold represents the person who has become pure by being tried and refined over and over again. The eye represents the deity who is aware of everything and from whom nothing is hidden. There are many other symbols in the 28th degree which do not happen to appear in the Regalia. You can find them in color in Appendix 3 on symbols invested in glory, the Regalia of the Scottish Rite. Note especially the worm Ouroboros, the dragon holding its own tail with his teeth, the Ancient of Days, also known as the Macroprospris, the Seal of Solomon, the Microcosm, and the triangle of red, white, and green sides. It is simply not possible to give an explanation of the degree in detail here. The section in Morals and Dogma which Pike devotes to the 28th degree is 219 pages, but we can list some of the most important ideas presented in the degree and encourage you to think deeply upon their meanings. The soul of man is immortal. This life is only a point in the center of eternity. The visual is a manifestation of the invisible. Love and wisdom are to be valued above all else. What is above is like what is below. Nature continually points to God, reflecting His power and wisdom. There is no death, only change. Our life is a quest, a seeking. By seeking and questing, we find a life. The 29th degree, Scottish Knight of St. Andrew, Council of Kdos. And again, Abridged to Light by illustrious Rex R. Hutchins, 33rd degree is where this comes from. A Knight of St. Andrew wears a green collar edged with crimson over the neck and a white silk scarf fringed with gold and worn from left to right. The jewel is a St. Andrew's cross of gold with a large emerald in the center, surmounted with the helmet of a knight and with a thistle of gold between the arms at the bottom. It is worn suspended from the collar. The emerald signifies the manliness and uprightness of chivalry, its color that of the renewal of virtue, always bright and sparkling. The thistle is the national emblem of Scotland and recalls a tradition that the Danes invaded Scotland and stealthily surrounded Staines Castle. They took off their shoes to wade the moat, only to find it dry and filled with thistles. The resultant yells and curses roused the garrison, and the Danes were soundly defeated. The banner of the order is a green St. Andrew's cross on a white field fringed with gold. At the end of each arm of the cross is one of the 4 Hebrew letters that form the ineffable name of deity. Above the cross is a circle of 5 stars with a thistle in the center. Duties of this degree: reverence and obedience to the deity, serve the truth, protect virtue and innocence, defend the people against tyranny. The lessons: ideas and institutions wax and wane in the great cycle of time, which is but change. For reflection, the question: is virtue and armor stronger than the strongest metal? And the important symbols: the St. Andrew's cross, a castle in ruins, and an armorless knight. The following article is from the March-April 2005 Scottish Rite Journal, written by Jim Tresner, 33rd degree Grand Cross, and is called 30th degree, Knight of Kdos, or Knight of the White and Black Eagle. And I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, if it's Kdos or Kdos, or something different. The 30th degree closes the Council of Kdos. There is no apron. There is, instead, a cordon of black, watered silk ribbon, edged with narrow silver lace. The letters K and H are embroidered in scarlet silk. They represent the Hebrew words which mean House of the Temple. Also embroidered in scarlet silk are 2 Teutonic crosses and a double-headed eagle with a poignard in his talons. The heads of the eagle are gold. In addition to the Teutonic cross, the degree makes use of crosses of several different shapes as symbols. The principal jewel of the degree is a silver double-headed eagle, holding a poignard in his talons as on the cordon. He rests on a Teutonic cross of gold enameled in red. A second jewel is a poignard of silver with a gold hilt. The lengthy part of the hilt is enameled, half in white and half in black. The regalia also includes a sword, sword belt, and a fringed black silk sash worn around the waist. The sword has a cross-shaped hilt, and the buckle of the sword belt is like the jewel of the 27th degree, save that the shield bears the initials J, B, M. A primary meaning of the double-headed eagle is balance or equilibrium, much the same symbolism as in the scales. And it suggests that, in almost everything, a balance can be found between seeming opposites. This is one of the great lessons of the Rite, and it is taught in various ways in many of the degrees. The plot of the degree is easy to specify. Its meanings are not. A Knight of St. Andrew wishes to become a Knight Kdos. When he makes his third request, he is escorted to a place of darkness where he encounters a preceptor. The preceptor advises him to hold fast to his courage and not to retreat no matter what happens. When the preceptor leaves, the candidate experiences a terrifying encounter which may be real or may only be the projection of his own mind. The preceptor returns and instructs him in the ways of virtue past. He also warns the candidate that he must face judgment of the Frank judges, whose decision has the power of life and death. Their agents have looked into and made report of his life. If he is not found worthy, he will die. The candidate survives the judgment, and the history of the Knights Templar is revealed to him. It is also explained to him that the Knights Kdos do not fight to revenge Demolay. Rather, they fight in the present world to oppose tyranny and to protect the weak. And then it is essentially left to him. He knows what tyranny is. He has been made aware that a king, a president, a congress, or a school board can enforce it. He has been assured that tyranny is not something that happened only in the past. It is something which happens every day in his world. He may encounter examples of it a dozen times a day, and a dozen times a day he will have to decide whether to let tyranny continue or to oppose it. If he truly understands the 30th degree, he realizes that he has undertaken a very great responsibility. But a true Knight Kdos also understands that if no one fights, the battle is lost before it starts. In the famous words of the comic strip character Pogo, we have met the enemy, and he is us. And then there's a note as to what the Teutonic Cross is. The Teutonic Cross may be thought of as a Greek cross with a short bar at the end of each arm. Another way of saying it is to say that a Teutonic cross is a Greek cross potent. Potent in the language of heraldry means that the arms terminate with a bar. It is not the same thing as a crosslet, for a crosslet is set in a short distance from the end of the arm. In the Scottish Rite, this cross forms the jewel or symbol of several of the higher degrees. But in the jewels and emblems of some degrees, a second Teutonic cross, or double potent, with two crossbars at the end of the arms, is added to, i.e. charged, upon the first cross, and then a scutcheon, or shield-shaped plate, with a design as surcharged upon the second cross. In the case of the example given of the 30th degree, the device has the initials JBM, or Jacobus Burgundus Moliensis, or Jacques de Molay. And I apologize for, I'm sure there were several mispronunciations. The 31st degree, Inspector Inquisitor, from the Consistory. From A Bridge to Light by illustrious Rex R. Hutchins, 33rd degree. Though no apron is worn in the tribunal, there was an apron that was to be worn when an inspector inquisitor visited an inferior body. That custom has been dispensed with, but the apron is still a part of the history and symbolism of the degree. It is of pure white lambskin with a Teutonic cross embroidered in black and silver upon the flap. The collar is white, and at the point upon the breast is a gold triangle emitting rays with the letters XXXI in the center. The jewel of the degree is a Teutonic cross of silver worn with a white watered ribbon around the neck. The duties: judge yourself in the same light as you judge others. Consider both actions and motives. The lessons: the good man is able to portray himself and his actions positively and not simply assert the absence of wrong in his life. Justice and mercy are two opposites which unite in the great harmony of equity. To aim at the best, but be content with the best possible, is true wisdom. For reflection, the question: is a man a thief who steals a loaf of bread for his children? And the important symbols: balance, heart, columns, sages, and the tetratus. And now we finish it up with the 32nd degree, Master of the Royal Secret. And the section is Consistory, and also from A Bridge to Light by illustrious Rex R. Hutchins, 33rd degree. The cordon is worn from the right shoulder to the left hip and is 4 inches wide, doubled, black-edged with white on the principal side and crimson on the other. At the point of the principal side is embroidered a red Teutonic cross with a silver double-headed eagle superimposed. On the crimson side, at the height of the heart, is embroidered a Teutonic cross in black. The jewel of the order is a Teutonic cross of gold with arms frosted. In the center are the letters XXXII, surrounded by a green wreath. The apron is of white silk or velvet, 12 inches square, edged with 2 stripes of gold lace, each half an inch wide and an inch apart, and fringed with gold. Between the stripes of the lace is a stripe of black velvet. On the flap are embroidered 6 flags, 3 on each side, the lower one blue, the middle one red, and the upper one gold. On these, in the center, is a Teutonic cross of gold, and over that an eye of gold, surrounded by 2 rays. On the cross, a black double-headed eagle with beak and claws of gold, holding a sword of gold, 1 claw on the hilt. On the body of the apron is the tracing board of the degree in all the colors. The reverse side of the apron is of crimson silk or velvet. It is tied by a heavy cord of crimson silk. The duties of this degree: a soldier of the light seeks truth and knowledge. A soldier of freedom demands for the people free vote and voice, and attains freedom of voice, vote, and opinion for himself. A soldier of the true religion combats spiritual tyranny with reason and truth. A soldier of the people encourages men to be self-reliant and independent. A soldier of Scottish Rite Masonry is zealous and ardent in the performance of his duties to God, his country, his family, his brethren, and himself. The lessons of this degree: the human is ever interlaced with the divine. Only doctrines, faith, or knowledge which bear fruit in action are of value. To work is to worship. The question for reflection: do you endeavor to achieve the royal secret in your life and within yourself? And finally, the important symbols: the camp, lesser Tetratus, the 5-pointed star; greater Tetrasis, the 7-pointed star; triple interlaced triangles; the Trimurti, the 3-faced bust. And with that concludes our going through the Regalia of the 32 Scottish Rite degrees.
Thank you for listening. If you like what you heard, please subscribe and leave us a comment. We enjoy hearing from our listeners. If you really like what you heard, share this podcast with your friends and lodge members. Visit us online at solomonstaircase.org.
Thank you for downloading this episode of our podcast.